now, I have come to realize I have a pet peeve. I can't stand the fact of other men of science who claim to know what happened in the past and explain it incorrectly. Having been there and seen the actual formation of not just our planet but the moon and life as well just compels me to correct their assumptions and evidence presented with technology they both do not fully understand nor have perfected its use. Of course my knowledge is not perfect either, yet, but a witness's account is much more reliable than their scientific inefficiency. So let us combine the two and maybe I can validate their best guesses by sifting which theories I saw unfold and which ones I didn't. Using their method of descriptive terminology I will attempt to associate those which I understand and explain when and how I saw their theories take place. First though we must explain a few key factors that play important roles in what occurred, starting with the creator. Now this being was definitely real. The extent of his power is something both he never talked about nor was I ever concerned about it either. I would describe him more as an architect than an omnipotent super-powerful being. What I saw him do the most throughout this experience was being the conscious source that brought objects, from microcosmic to galactic bodies, into being. In the beginning he carbon 3D printed the first particle matter to form, fuse and exponentially increase. He caused the formation of the Milky Way galaxy that began as a rather small nebula cloud that was basically run over by the Sagittarius A galaxy, which was a massive tidal wave-like mix of multiple gas clouds and stellar debris. He then came to this region of our system where this video here actually describes the early solar system quite well. The Sun in the center of our system was formed by a mixture of stellar gas and residual debris that had formed from the indifferent gases passing each other. To better describe this I will simply explain it by comparing something commonly found within nuclear power plants. When the uranium within the core of the plant is filtered and cooled using large pools of water to cool the rods so that they don't ignite in an explosion, this nuclear process has a residual excessive buildup that forms due to a similar effect of the nuclear forces creating a type of kinetic friction that gives off an electrical discharge. That electrical discharge leaves a solid rock-like dust that gathers and must be cleaned out occasionally. When stars first form, this same effect occurs and creates a ring of debris to form around the photon particles that are smashing and fusing within the center. This first begins to occur when the gas clouds are still separated. As they begin to draw inward towards the center, impulses of electrical arcs will begin to become more and more frequent, jumping from one gas cloud to another, sometimes occurring for long periods of time and creating a byproduct of dust to form because of the electrical discharges by the junction of electricity between clouds. Then the gases will begin to smear together into an extremely bright central region similar to that seen in arc welding. The gases will begin to spin in opposing directions with each other as a whirlpool effect will begin to occur, and soon two small relativistic jets will form shooting in opposite directions, similar to those observed in black holes. The dust by this time will have gathered into large piles that will eventually begin to increase in density, forming asteroid-like objects that will form a ring around the center of the forming star. This ring does not usually extend past the distance of where Mars orbits. All the cosmic gases that are used to form the central star are not always used in this process, and gas giants form in regions where these residual gases pool together, creating the inertia of the solar system's orbital motion caused by the indifference of gravity driven by the mass of the gas giants around the star forming. Then the relativistic jets will expand in a simultaneous event in which there is an explosion and collapse of the jets that form the actual star's coronal layers as this event occurs. The force of this explosion will eject the debris of the ring to the furthest reaches of the star's influence or helios, and that initial debris will become the Oort cloud of asteroids found along the outer rim of most systems. The planets are then formed from the remaining debris and spread out among the other planetary bodies by something called interplanetary gravitational particle wave transference, which is the really long technical term that explains the fundamental principle that brought water, the debris that would settle to become the surface of the planets. and the particles and molecular compounds used to form the first life forms on our world. Now when God first came to begin seeding or fusing the qualities that would develop into life here on our world, there was an incident in the early moments of its formation. As he began to shape the core of our planet and first set out to mold the debris of Earth together into a planetary object, a large, planetoid rogue object came barreling towards Earth at a slow speed, just as it says here in this video.
At the beginning of its existence 4.6 billion years ago. And its formation and the formation of the Moon remains a mystery. But today, we'll tell you about the theories that scientists suggested. You'll learn how planets so different from each other form from the same material, what planet crashed into the Earth in the past, how much water there is on our planet, and where it came from. And finally, we'll tell you how old the oldest organism on Earth is.
It crashed into the barely formed debris of Earth and then settled into place with it that looked like two halves of two planets were just floating next to each other. God got so mad he grew into a tremendous size and actually kicked the rogue object, sending it away from early formed Earth, but it then settled into its orbit where it has remained even up to this day. After the Earth settled and its photon core became encased by the firmament or outer mantle core, the planet became bombarded by many meteors and asteroids whose debris would settle and create the land mass that eventually became the continental bodies we live upon.
We prepared the story of our planet from a clump of dust and gas a few miles in diameter to the appearance of life. When the Sun was created, gases and other materials around it started colliding with each other and forming small bodies called planetesimals. And as the gravitational forces were growing, more material was pulled together, and these seeds of planets grew larger until they became true planets. The solar system's gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, were born much earlier than the four known terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. But how exactly was our home planet born? The Earth's story started about 4.6 billion years ago in a disc-shaped cloud of dust and gas rotating around the early Sun. And we know it was that long ago because of the fossil record, one of the most simple methods to determine the age of our planet. Scientists were able to find zircon crystals that are roughly 4.3 billion years old. So far, these crystals are the oldest materials found on our planet. But how exactly our planet was formed remains a scientific mystery. However, there are two leading theories on planetary formation. The core accretion model is the first one, and most widely accepted. About 4.6 billion years ago, there was a solar nebula consisting of spinning gas and dust particles from which our Sun was born. Then, as the remaining material of different sizes orbited our star at slightly different speeds, it started to collide and stick together. Under the effect of gravity, smaller particles grew into larger particles that ranged from miles to hundreds of miles in diameter. The solar wind would then sweep away lighter elements, such as hydrogen and helium, so that just rocky materials would stay closer and turn into terrestrial worlds. The process continues until these space objects reach thousands of miles in diameter. But far away from the star, the Sun's constant stream of charged particles doesn't have a very strong impact on lighter elements. As a result, these elements combine and transform into gas giants. What's exciting is that NASA believes that this is the way planetary formation works. Small, rocky worlds like the Earth are a lot more common throughout the universe than gas giants. The thing with this theory is that it works well to explain the formation of terrestrial planets, but has problems explaining the creation of giant worlds. This is because scientists believe the gas disk around our Sun only lasted about 4 to 5 million years, and simulations based on the core accretion model show such planets form longer than that. However, the second theory, or the disk instability model, resolves this issue. This newer idea suggests that chunks of dust and gas clump together early in the existence of the solar system, and over time, these chunks slowly turn into a gas planet. But the difference is that this way, planets can form much faster than those explained by the core accretion model. In fact, according to this theory, it could happen within as little as 1,000 years. A planetary formation this vast makes it possible for such worlds to trap the rapidly vanishing lighter gases. A recent study suggests that Proto-Earth was formed within about 5 million years, and on a cosmic scale, it's nothing. If we converted the solar system's estimated 4.6 billion years of existence into a 24-hour period, these 5 million years would be equal to just about 1.5 minutes. If scientists are right about this, water could be just a byproduct of the formation of a planet similar to our home.
Now some of those scientists out there that have lifted themselves up into heights way above everyone else and think they know everything and do not believe in the existence of God. I'm sure they are scoffing by this point and shaking their heads, saying something like, "How is it that someone who can see and understand the scientific method behind the laws of nature and realizes the mathematical process of science, how could someone with such intellectual potential still believe that an invisible being could be responsible for creating everything that is? Or such a waste of wisdom in a person to have fallen to such an archaic belief?" Well, first let me debunk your ignorance of narrow-minded logic by saying that I never said anything about believing in this super-powered comic book character that has been misrepresented by both church and atheistic propaganda. Not that I'm saying the biblical accounts aren't true, only that they were told and meant to be understood by other people whose understanding was not like ours is today. Besides, what I remember being crucial to him was believing in him to be God, the creator of all that is from the Alpha to the Omega. From what I witnessed and the actions I could clearly connect to his hand being responsible for, he has shown me the proof I would need to proclaim him to truly fit that title. From what I witnessed, that exactly what he was doing, bringing things into being and doing exactly what the Creator would be doing as per his title. So by the standards that is laid out by the general religion of those who believe in God, yes, I believe beyond a doubt that he is God. Exactly what he is or truly capable of I am not certain of, nor do I think that it is important enough to have to know. If what he asks of me is to believe that he is the Creator, then that I can do, for he has shown me that is true. If he asks that I have faith in him, to trust him, even when there is no supporting reason at that time to give me reason to trust him, then yes, I believe that I can do that, for he has shown me that he will try to be there when I need him the most, and that he gave me the chance to prove myself before holding any sort of judgment against me first. And I have seen that he will stand beside and support a scenario that has good intentions towards others, even if they are scenarios that might help even the harshest of his enemies, as long as the reasons and goals are set towards good intentions. This shows me that in his heart he is a force that is driven by a pure and good inertia, not that of a wrathful, vengeful and angry heart. That is more than enough for me to have faith in him. The rest is unnecessary unless he needs me to understand more about him for some reason.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Morty Durham Jr. The people are real, the cases are real, the rulings are final. This is his courtroom. This is Judge Morty. 60-year-old inmate Rick Allen is being accused of committing murder of a fellow inmate at Georgia Penitentiary. Mr. Allen claims that he is being set up and that his lawyer is requesting sexual favors in exchange for proper legal advice.
Okay, Mr. Allen.
Right.
I believe that your case was going to trial not this Monday, but the following Monday. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Okay, I tell you, if you need to tell me something, I'll let you come up here to the podium so you can speak into the microphone and I can hear you.
Yes, the attorney here, I'm wanting to fire him.
Uh-huh.
And, I don't feel like he's doing any...
Who are you going to hire?
I'm not going to hire nobody. I'm going to try to get a different public defender.
There isn't... You have a right to an attorney.
This lawyer has...
You don't have a right to a specific attorney.
This lawyer has made sexual advances on me. He's misrepresenting my case. He told me if
if I wanted him to do a good job, I had to let him give me oral sex. He's had doctors at Central State Hospital put a false diagnosis on me.
Okay, I know Mr. Wyatt pretty well, and I don't think he has the ability to make doctors at Central State do anything.
Well, they did it, and he's the one that had me sit down there.
Well, they may have done it, but I don't think that he had anything to do with it.
All right, well, he won't give me the discovery. There's things in discovery he's supposed to give me the incident and told me that it was the discovery.
Okay.
They're alternating documents that I've read.
If you want the indictment, I'll make sure you get a copy of the indictment.
No, I'm saying I got the indictment, but he's not complying with discovery.
Okay.
I'm supposed to get the autopsy report, the coroner report, pictures of the crime scene.
Coroner report?
Criminal background records. I want...
Is this a murder?
In the county jail.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm supposed to get the criminal background records, investigational summaries.
Mr. Wyatt, what discovery do you have?
Given him everything I have.
You've given him everything you have?
Yes, sir.
He's given you everything.
This is a murder case, and you're telling me the only thing on discovery is a 4-page indictment?
I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying he's given you everything he has.
He ain't giving me no autopsy report. He ain't giving me no coroner's report. He ain't giving me...
Well, it may be that he doesn't have that. I don't know.
That's what I've been trying to get. He didn't give me pictures of the crime scene. I've seen other people go to trial on murder charges. I've seen what you're supposed to get. I'm not going to work with this attorney.
Well,
It's not gonna happen. I'm not going to trial with this attorney.
Well, you've got two choices. One, you can go to trial with them, or two, you can try the case yourself. Now, I definitely completely think that's...
And I've got a right to have...
Wait a minute. Listen to me. That would be the biggest mistake you've ever made in your life.
So basically, you're sitting here telling me...
Now,
you're gonna find me guilty if I go to trial and try to defend myself?
You're probably right. That would be my guess if you try to defend yourself. You don't know anything about selecting a jury, do you?
No.
Do you know anything about cross-examining witnesses?
No.
Do you know anything about criminal procedure?
I know I don't have to let...
Do you know anything?
This guy suck my...
Let me...
To get some legal representation.
You know something? I'll be honest, Mr. Allen. I really don't believe that.
Well, I'm not concerned if you believe it or not. I'm supposed to have a right to an attorney, and I'm not gonna work with this attorney.
Well, that's up to you.
So I hold myself in contempt if you try to pull me up here to court with that attorney.
That's fine. I mean, that's up to you. I told you what your choices are. You can go to trial.
I'm just telling you.
Listen to me.
I'll hold myself into contempt.
Listen to me.
You.
Listen to me.
Go yourself. I'm through here. Y'all done?
I'm finding you in contempt of court.
I don't care.
I know you don't, and I sentence you to 20 days for that. And if you say anything else, I'm gonna add 20 days for everything you say.
You.
40 days.
You again.
60.
Go yourself.
A year.
Your mama.
10 years.
Suck my.
You know something? This is gonna be an interesting trial.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
You're not supposed to smile in court. You know that if you smile,
I can smile anytime I want.
It's a violation. Now you're cussing and yelling at me.
I have not cussed.
Yeah, you did.
I am yelling.
Well, go yourself. Suck my.
That's why I'm yelling.
Suck my.
You know something? You are absolutely the rudest person I think I've ever met.
You reckon if I let you suck my that I could get a fair trial here?
Oh, I don't think so.
I got a big now, and if I pull it out...
I don't think that's gonna get you a fair trial unless you have
I'm done.
Every one of the jurors do it.
I don't think that mouth is big enough, sir. I've got a big old donkey.
You know, I'm sure mine's not.
I've got a big old donkey for that ass.
Good. I'm sure the women love it.
I don't girls.
Oh no. I'm sorry.
I boys.
Oh, I'm sorry. You prefer men.
I boys.
You prefer men, right?
I white boys.
You, white or black?
White boys.
Oh, butt boys?
With big butts.
Oh, of course. You know, you look like a queer.
Well, okay, so now you're calling me a queer in the courtroom?
I didn't call you one. I said you looked like one.
You're yelling.
Do you understand the English language?
Wait, you're yelling, you're laughing.
Do you understand the English language?
This is kangaroo court, sir.
Do you know what? No, we're not in Australia.
I mean, if you want to suck my you can do it any time now. We can get this court ordered.
You're so smart.
Do we have to court order this?
You're so funny. You're so cute.
Can we get a court order to get my sucked, sir?
You're so cute. I know all the inmates just love you to death.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bet.
All the white butt boys love me to death, too.
Okay, well, I'll bet they do. And I bet all the rest of them do, too.
You ain't supposed to smile in court.
I'll bet everybody enjoys sucking your
You ain't supposed to be smiling in court. That's a violation.
I can smile anytime my dadgum want to.
Now you're yelling at me again.
I am. I'm yelling.
You're getting mad.
Can you hear me?
You're shaking.
I am yelling at you.
Well, reckon you can suck my
Yelling.
Can you take a break?
Yelling.
Can you take a break?
I'm yelling at you.
Can you take a break?
Yelling.
Can I get my sucked?
Can you hear me? Yelling.
Can I get my sucked?
Yelling.
Are you ready to suck now? Have you got it all out?
You know something?
You will, but you want me to you in the butt then, right?
Oh my goodness, you've got plenty of that over in jail.
I could see it in you when I came in the courtroom.
Okay, that's fine. You're gonna be here on... Let me tell you how this is gonna work.
You ain't gonna tell me shit.
Listen.
Suck my
Shut up, listen to me.
Suck my you man.
Listen.
Suck my
You will be here in the court on
You'll
Monday.
be here sucking my
Well, listen to me now.
Go yourself.
Okay, I'm going to tell you how this is gonna work. You either listen or not. I don't care.
I'm through. Can I leave the courtroom?
No.
No, you've got to stay here.
No, I'm not talking to the bastard.
We are going to have the trial Monday week.
No, the we are. I ain't going to trial with this lawyer present.
Listen, if you do not...
Suck my you stinking ass cracker.
If you act like this, I will send you out of the courtroom.
Old bitch ass cracker.
And leave you out of the courtroom during the trial.
Horse ass cracker.
Do you understand
Horse
that?
ass sucking ass.
Do you understand
big
that?
Butt,
Do you understand
man
that?
ass cracker.
Do you understand that?
Getting mad, ain't you?
Stupid.
Red face.
Listen.
Now you're calling me stupid.
Listen. Yes, I am.
This is kangaroo court.
You know what? You have a constitutional right to be a dumbass.
Why don't you jump up on the stand?
You
and,
have a
and jump
constitutional
around
right
like
to be a
kangaroo, you dumb bastard.
Well, if you-
Suck my I ain't listening to nothing you say.
Come in here Monday
And
weekend.
how about this? I'll kill your whole family. And when I get in this trial, I'll murder your whole family. I'll cut your children up into pieces. I'll knock their brains out with a hammer and feed them to you.
Are you taking this down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to refer you to the district attorney's office.
I don't give a who you're referring to.
I'm just telling you.
I thought you were referring to my mother man.
Aggravated assault, terroristic threats, and we'll just
I
add
don't
to
give a
it.
I will murder you, your whole family, your kids. I am not supposed to be in jail. I was framed. That mother asked me to eat his ass for a bag of coffee.
Well,
and
you
now
know-
you're telling me that I got to go to trial with this man over here.
You're obviously-
He's probably a pedophile.
You're obviously fixated on butts and
Huh? I'm fixated on your mouth.
No, you're fixated on butts and
You got a nasty mouth, sir.
I have an awful mouth.
You have a big old fat mouth.
I do.
You gotta have a big old mouth to get this in it.
I sure do.
All right.
Yep, I'm proud of it.
I'll make sure the next time I come to court, I'll pull it out and jack on you.
Okay, why don't you do that right now?
I jack on white boys.
Well, why don't you do that right now?
Just like I jack on females.
do it right now.
I can't do it now.
Do it now.
I ain't got.
I don't care.
Take off the cuffs.
How many hands do you have to do it?
Take off the cuffs.
Come on. No. Jack off.
This is kangaroo court.
Come on, jack off.
This is kangaroo court.
Jack off right now.
Are y'all getting this?
Yeah, they're getting it.
I'm gonna make sure this guy done called me stupid. This mother done told me he was gonna suck my.
I did not say that.
He wanted me to him in the butt.
I did not say that either.
You're a real nasty ass judge.
I am indeed, and you're going to find out
Now-
how nasty I really am.
You'll find out how nasty I am when I murder your whole family, bitch.
Okay, that's fine. You know, you'll be in jail so long you won't have a
The
chance.
babies will be going, Daddy, help me. I'm just going to knock their brains out with the hammer.
Okay, well, you know, if I had any kids, you'd probably be able to do that. But since I don't have any, it doesn't really
Well,
matter.
then I'll get your nieces, your nephews, your
It
sisters.
doesn't really matter. I don't have any of those either.
Grandkids.
I don't have any of those either.
Aunties, aunts.
How can I have grandkids if I don't have any kids?
Brothers, sisters.
Stupid. You know, you're just completely have no idea of the English language.
You're not going to suck my sir. I don't want to be here.
Okay, I've enjoyed this. I hope you have. I know everybody else in the courtroom has enjoyed it, but you can go now. And if
All right, well,
if on Monday week this happens again, you will not stay in the
suck
courtroom.
my sir.
Okay.
I'm subpoenaing y'all's ass in the
Change of
courtroom.
subject. I suddenly feel the cold sharp chill of the midnight hour upon me. Earl is here, I think. So my backstabbing traitorous brother. I sense you nearby. Have you come to drive a flaming sword into my back again? Maybe we'll blame it on McKeel again like you did before. This seems to be a repetitive cycle for you. You seem to like to change the story around a lot. Are you the one driving these alterations to the scripture and historical accounts, warping our knowledge of what has happened to your own justified agenda? Tell me something, brother. What happened to you during the Black Plague? I hear your anger and contempt towards God at that time for all the senseless deaths that occurred had you acting like a wild howling wolf barking at the moon. Would it twist your nipple to know that I have been given an answer to your question you ranted so often back then, question of why he had designed and intended so many senseless and pointless deaths to occur not just then but throughout creation? Why was it his will for such suffering to occur? Your answer is this, that God's grand design can be compared to that of a script. Mankind has the free will of choice. His grunt design only is like that of a template, and though he may have an overall intended direction that his will guides us all towards, it's his life that gives us the gift of choice and action, but it is our choices and actions that brings about evil to occur in the world, not him. He never intended for some of the things to occur that have happened. Those things have always been in the hands of mankind. However, most of them never intended for things to occur the way they did either. I think that your concerns are in the wrong place. That it does not truly matter why things were allowed to occur the way they did, not in that moment you were asking about this, that is. What should have mattered most at that time is what can you do about solving the problem going on at that time. You got lost in despair instead of staying focused on the problem and coming up with a solution somehow. That would have been the best choice of a path at that.
Hey honey, it's me.
Hi, my schmoopy doopy. So, how was work today? A madhouse as usual?
Yeah, today was nuts. I had the total basket case in my court.
And did you get death threats again?
Yeah, he made a bunch of death threats at me, but, it's just a job.
You know how much that worries me. If any of these men you put away ever got near us?
No, none of these people can get close to us. The police are pretty good at doing that.
I know. I really worry over it, though. It just isn't safe for our growing family. Have you thought about my dad's carpet store?
Yeah, but,
This would mean that we're a lot more likely to discover the ingredients of our life outside our solar system. And what about our satellite? What's the story of the moon? Astronomers have proposed many hypotheses for the origin of our satellite, and some of them are quite bizarre. The fission theory suggests that the moon was once part of our planet. When the Earth was still a hot ball of spinning lava, it may have ejected the material our satellite is made of now. While most scientists remained skeptical because of how fast our planet must have been spinning to make this happen, it would have been a breathtaking phenomenon to observe. The capture theory is yet another interesting idea, suggesting that the moon could have been captured from a different part of the solar system. We already know that some worlds have gained their moons in such a way. Perhaps before it was attracted by our planet's gravitational pull, the moon was orbiting Venus. Still, this wouldn't answer the question of why the Earth and the moon have almost identical oxygen and isotope ratios. But the next theory could. Some astronomers think our satellite was created side by side with the Earth. The idea is that both were formed at about the same time, from the same gas and dust, and at the same part of our solar system's protoplanetary disk. The theory is called co-formation, and it fits because of the isotopic similarities between the two space objects, but at the same time, it cannot explain the difference in the size of their iron cores. The leading and perhaps the most mind-blowing theory is that the moon was born as a result of a giant impact with a different celestial body. There's a chance that Earth wasn't the only planet that was forming 150 million kilometers from the Sun. Earth's creation may have been accompanied by another planet dubbed Theia. This strange world must have been smaller than our planet, just about the size and mass of Mars. At first, it could have had a stable orbit, but as Earth increased its mass by gathering more material, Theia was destabilized, and so it swung back and forth towards our planet until, eventually, the two protoplanets collided. The speed of collision was low, so the Earth wasn't destroyed. However, the impact must have created a disk of debris of molten rock and hot gas that became the building blocks of the moon. Both Theia and the Earth could have been composed of a combination of materials, and more of the lower density splatter would eventually transform into the moon. If this is the case, it explains why our planet has a higher density and thicker core than our satellite, and why the Earth and the moon spin the way they do around each other. But let's get back to Earth. Throughout the next 500 million years, the Earth resembled a ball of a molten surface, volcanism, and asteroid impacts. And several things made it extremely hot: gravitational compression, radioactive decay, and asteroid impacts. A big amount of this initial heat is still there, deep inside our planet. But as it cooled, minerals started to crystallize, and because of the different densities of materials, the crust, mantle, and core were formed. So how did water appear on a hot rock floating through space? Oceans cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface. This is 1.386 billion cubic kilometers of surface water or ice. But the fact that there's more liquid water on our planet than any other known rocky world in our solar system isn't fully understood. And as with the Earth and Moon, there are several hypotheses as to how water appeared here. One likely reason is extraplanetary sources, such as comets, trans-Neptunian objects, or even protoplanets. There's actually a lot of water in our solar system. 2/3 of Uranus and Neptune, for example, are made of ice. So if our planet was born hot and dry, then water must have come from somewhere else, brought by icy comets and asteroids. Comets are made of dust and ice, with most of that ice being frozen water. So they might be the clue. But measurements show that comet water has a lot more deuterium in it compared to that found on Earth. What about asteroids? Because their ratio of deuterium to normal hydrogen water is closer to that which we have on our planet, they're even a better candidate. Also, asteroids are 20% water, but due to their small size, there must have been a colossal number of impacts to explain all the water on our planet. To fill the planet with 1.386 million cubic kilometers of water might seem like a lot. To compare, this much water would have been enough to cover the contiguous United States to a depth of roughly 145 kilometers. But this still isn't a lot. In fact, water amounts to only about 0.02% of our planet's mass. And since Earth experienced periods of heavy bombardment in the past, this is actually a possible scenario. Researchers also think that when our planet formed, huge amounts of hydrogen were captured in its rocks and minerals. And because of the mantle's heat, hydrogen and oxygen-rich minerals started to melt. This made it possible for water to spew out from the Earth's crust. According to scientists' estimates, about 10 oceans of water could exist within the mantle up to this date. Probably the most astonishing of all is the volcanic outgassing hypothesis. According to this idea, water may have come from volcanism. In other words, it was always there in the form of minerals with oxygen and hydrogen hidden beneath the crust of our planet, and volcanoes only helped it break free as vapor. It originated in volcanic eruptions, then condensed and fell as rain. Scientists think that all volcanic eruptions contain some water vapor, and that it may have been enough to account for the Earth's surface water. This still remains an open question, but whatever the case, with water, there often comes life. Life most likely began during the late Hadean or early Archean eon that lasted from 4.0 to 2.5 billion years ago. There's evidence of life in at least 3.8 billion-year-old rocks from Aquila Island, Greenland, and the oldest form of life discovered by scientists are tiny hematite tubes, estimated to be 4.28 billion years old. Hypotheses include a chemical origin of life in the early atmosphere, hydrothermal vents, deep seas, oceans, and even comets that came here from somewhere in space. It's highly possible that life began from the chemical environment of the early atmosphere and oceans, but they were nothing like we have today. The atmosphere was oxygen-free, but was abundant in methane, carbon dioxide, sulfur, and nitrogen compounds. And some space objects in our solar system are known to have an atmosphere like this. In one experiment, scientists simulated our planet's early atmosphere and lightning with a sealed vessel. They found that after igniting sparks, amino acids, or the fundamental building blocks of proteins, were formed. Life that could have started on the deep ocean floor may have also been able to survive without photosynthesis due to another biological process called chemosynthesis. Instead of using energy from the sun, primitive life gained energy from the heat that was coming from the Earth's interior. Still, there's always a possibility that life initially originated in space and was then carried here by comets or other celestial bodies. Researchers have already found amino acids within meteorites and comets. What's exciting about this idea is that it means a high likelihood of life exists somewhere in space. The Earth has changed so many times and transformed heavily from when it first formed. How life came from non-life is still a big scientific mystery. However, we do have a current best guess for the beginning of life on Earth, which we think is around 3.8 billion years ago. But before we get into that, let's start from the beginning and take a trip back in time.